Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Thank you.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do, everybody? What are you going to do? All right, so I just need to start the show by saying thank you. Thank you so much to Christy Egg. I won't say her whole last name, but you know who you are, who is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and sent us this unbelievable package of gloves. Gloves and the cure for COVID is right here. This is part of a set of 4 neon-handled paring knives. And if you stab it repeatedly into your eyeballs, problem solved. So thank you, Christy. Thank you so much. I finally got your package. She wrote me an email asking me to please check to see if I got the package. I did get the package. And here is the cure for COVID, everybody. It's a neon-handled paring knife and a roller Herbie, where you roll it over your veins on your wrist, or you could cure COVID that way. Or you could still do the tried and true Trump method, which is to take a lightsaber and shove it up your... All right, today is Wednesday. 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 That is the proper spelling for Wednesday. I don't know why. I'll look into it. I'm sure I read it on the internet, because now that I've completed, I'm sure it's somewhere in my permanent Rolodex why it's pronounced that way. But that is the name of the day. All right. And that would be the 29th of April. Yes. Meaning your rent is due on Friday. Good luck to us. The economic news today is dire. We are, I won't say, because, I have to get it exactly right. I have to get it exactly correct, or else, I hear from the, the branch COVIDians, the cult members, the Death Cult 45 members, stuff like that there. But this is the first quarter of negative growth, everybody. A recession, by definition, is 2 quarters of negative growth. But I could just about promise you that the next quarter, negative growth in this quarter was minus 4.8%. That's almost 5. You do get to round. You get to round if it's 0.5 or greater. You get to round up. So 4.8, I'm going to round. That's what I'm going to do. Up to 5%. The next quarter should be negative 20 to 30%. Yeah, you heard me. Oh! Negative 20, and that will be the official start of a recession. Now, obviously, we're in one, but it is not technically correct. We were in a technical recession with regard to manufacturing, which, maybe you would think that if Donald Trump could, use the Defense Production Act in a meaningful way, he could tell these idle manufacturers to go ahead and produce things that we need, like the things that Christy sent me via the U.S. Postal Service. God bless you. Like all of these Simply gloves. Powder-free, everybody. Powder-free. And, the cure for COVID, which obviously is a paring knife in your eye. But he doesn't use it properly. There's a fabulous piece by Katie Porter, who you have come to know as a very fact-based congresswoman from California. And Katie Porter points out that when Donald Trump does use the Defense Production Act, he does it in the dark. Bruce Springsteen, anybody? Defense Production Act in the dark, right. Because the DPA orders, the Defense Production Act orders, are not public documents. And this is another way that people are stealing from us. This is another way Trump is draining us to give to the swamp, which is what is actually occurring here. Now, I'll give you 3 cases, okay? In one case, there was a $96 million no-bid contract for respirators that went to a company with no background in medical supplies. What could go wrong there? A contract for N95 masks. You may have heard this one before. Please stop me if you've heard this one before. A contract for N95 masks worth $55 million went to a tactical training firm. I believe it was in West Virginia, where their parent company had filed for bankruptcy. Also without any background in medical supplies and at a cost per unit price of $5. Now, because Christy Ag, it is that last name, the one you're thinking of, that's her name. Because she sent me a receipt for my gloves, I can tell you that the gloves are, for a box of 100, $2.63. A simple mask, surgical mask, is about 50 cents, okay? The government contracted with this tactical training company with no background in medical supplies, whose parent company went bankrupt, at $5 per unit. That's 8 times the value of masks. And then, because the Department of Veterans Affairs is just such a favorite of the Trump administration, I told you about that company yesterday, MedMedex. MyMedex. Sorry, it's MIMEDX. MyMedex. They had settled a Department of Justice criminal complaint to the tune of $6.5 million for ripping off the VA, right? For ripping off the VA, charging them an exorbitant amount for medical supplies. And they had settled that case for $6.5 million on April 6th, and on April 21st, they received $10 million from PPP. Isn't that special? What a government. But this particular Department of Veterans Affairs ripoff, this is separate and apart from MyMedex. This was a $75,000 contract to make masks that was given to Mike Lindell from MyPillow. You remember that day when the light bulb went off over my head and I went, oh, so these coronavirus task force briefings are really campaign rallies because look, it was Mike Lindell. Right. Well, apparently he was there to score himself a contract, and he did. $75,000 from the VA to make masks. They cannot and have not started work on this contract. They have to go out and find a subcontractor. Apparently, he doesn't make his own stuff. So he got the contract, but has not begun work. Now, the reason why you want transparency, and this is where sunlight is the best disinfectant, not up your yin with a lightsaber or laying on a tanning bed as a cure for COVID. No, that will give you cancer. Like windmills. You know, Donald Trump, the medical expert, told us the sound from windmills, the sound, causes cancer. And so we're going to march to prevent windmill cancer. I don't know what color ribbon we should wear, but we'll come up with one. But the reason why you want light on these contracts, and the reason why we conclude that sunlight is the best disinfectant for contracting, is because it deters waste and fraud and abuses of our taxpayer dollars. These Defense Production Act orders are not public documents, and so we are left in the dark about the key tool that Trump is using in his fight against COVID. You know, I don't know if he wants to turn all of our states into Florida. I'm not really sure, but what would be worse? Dying of COVID or turning all our states into my state, Florida? I'll leave that question as open.
Clear for
Rhodes Air Force.
Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.